Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Conversations at Hub101.Earth. My name is Yuexia, and I'm the founder and managing director of Hub101.Earth, which is an open access global platform for knowledge sharing and capacity building on climate, nature, and environmental topics. Today, we're at the last day of London Climate Action Week, a very hot and busy one. And I'm delighted that Hub's strategic and knowledge partner, Jen Stebbing, is able to join us and have a chat before she rushes off. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here.
It's so great we get to sit down and talk like this. It's been a crazy week, especially for you. But I think everybody in this space knows you. But just in case they don't, I'm going to read out your new title. You're the CEO and co-founder of Sotora Global, which is a strategic consultancy that integrates policy, communications, and science to scale climate and nature solutions.
That's right.
Is that right? I've done a bit of homework beforehand. But so maybe let's just start by saying you've been in the communications space for a long time, but we'll get to that actually. But maybe let's start with Sotora, which you have just launched. Yes. Tell me a bit about what it is and what is it that you're hoping to do.
Well, it's a consultancy, and so it's basically serving other people in this space. It's very much in the kind of nexus of nature, climate, markets. But it's with my co-founder Callum Hextall-Smith and I have been working together for ages. And so we decided that, well, we've been talking about launching something or doing something together for a while. And at the sort of end of last year, beginning of this year, we started thinking it for real because he had finished a contract with another organization. And I was starting to think, I was an independent consultant for a while, and I was kind of thinking, I think I could build this out. But I hadn't built a consultancy before because I didn't really like the consultancy model. But two things that have changed since then. First of all, I'm not building just a communications consultancy. So Callum and I, Callum's very specialised in policy work. And these things tend to be siloed in our space in particular. So we wanted to bring those things together. So we've got communications and policy together, and then also the technical expertise as well. Because a lot of my clients had been asking me, because I've been in this sector for a while, they've been asking me very sort of technical questions and things about market positioning and things where I've really known about, the subject matter. So we're bringing that in as well. So those things together. And then so I felt really good about doing something that was a little upstream from communications, also doing all my comms work because it's my passion, but also kind of linking that with strategy and policy. And then the second reason to do it was AI, actually. Because I feel like AI is going to change the way consultancy works. And so I feel previously you didn't get a lot of senior time as when you were a client for a consultancy because the work kind of tended to go to the juniors. Whereas now you can have that senior judgment because senior people can do more because they've got AI at their fingertips and they're not delegating everything. So it's a little bit of a changed model and we're working it out as we go. But I love all my clients and I don't want to be not working with them on a day-to-day basis, essentially.
Absolutely. No, you have some very loyal clients. I mean, an amazing collection. So that's so interesting. So the communications, the policy, the tech expertise, because as we know, carbon and nature, and especially in the market-oriented instruments, can be very technical.
Yeah.
And AI, you're not just the only, but definitely a very consistent person telling me that I need to look more into AI. So it's on my list.
You do Anna's course.
Yes, I do. I absolutely need to. Straight after Climate Week. So if we were to take a step back, we'll come back to all of this. So if we go back a bit, you started your career in comms, is that right? So how did you get into it from, when you studied at university and why comms?
I don't really know. I started temping in London when I got here, and I just ended up in a PR agency as the office temp, doing the filing and properly sending out press releases by post. Back in those days, licking stamps, all of that. And she just said, "Oh, do you want to do PR essentially?" And I was like, sure.
Why not?
Yeah, pays more than temping. Not very much, but a little bit more. And then after a couple of years in that, which was a very boring subject matter, I applied for a job in the press office at Westminster Abbey, and got that, which was my dream job because I love history and all of that. And so, I got to be in Westminster Abbey for 3 years.
Such a historical place, right?
Oh, just, incredible. I did that and then moved across to Buckingham Palace for 5 years. I was in the press office for the Queen, which was also amazing, fantastic experience. And so that was my kind of comms experience. And then I went away for a year to Brazil, came back and was like, oh, what do I do now? And ended up working quite a lot in the journalism side. So I was working with Sky News, and then I did help launch London Live.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've known you a long time. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. And then worked with The Independent and even started as head of video. And do that. But then I kind of got sucked into this journalism side, and it wasn't really for me, because journalists are fantastic and we're absolutely needed, but they're quite cynical, and I'm a glass half full person. It's like, this is, why don't we just say nice things about everybody?
Which is needed in this day and age. Yeah.
And then I was working in a consultancy again, actually, and one of the things we were focused on was impact, and we ended up working for a forest conservation company and an impact investor, and they kind of poached me, working with them, and that's how I got into this space. They were doing a whole lot of RED projects, RED Plus projects, so carbon credits and protecting forests. That
is so, because I always say that we've known each other since teenagers, troublesome teenagers growing up in Zimbabwe, but we each found our own way to this space, and that is so fascinating that you came via the PR and then the impact-driven space. So how have you found your experience working in nature and carbon?
Wonderful. I mean, very frustrating sometimes, and like a lot of work. But wonderful and so rewarding, and it does feel like, you feel the same, like it feels like you're trying to do something for one of the world's biggest challenge at the moment, and most urgent challenge, and it's a teeny tiny little bit, but it's something. I love it.
Absolutely. And how do you feel about where things are at the moment across the nature and climate space? We've heard many topics emerging during Climate Action Week, and some of it can be quite confusing. So what would you say are some of the top learnings that you can pick out of London Climate Action Week, like headlines that you want to share?
Yeah. I would say 3 things. I'd say markets and finance work. I think that's, I think we need every credible tool. We are in a climate emergency. We're in a nature loss emergency. We need every credible tool that we can in order to get finance to these issues, and in order to get finance from the global north to the global south. And markets work to do that. And I think, that there's been a lot of criticism on the voluntary carbon market over the past, few years. And a lot of that is warranted. But things have moved on a lot. On the supply side, there's a lot of quality markers. You have all of the acronyms. Yes. The Integrity Council for the Voluntary Carbon Market, and the CCBs,
all those capital letters.
All those capital letters. But there's a lot there on the supply side to make things a lot better quality, and then on the demand side as well. Coalition to Grow Carbon Markets with their high integrity principles, all of those sort of things. So I think our shared principles. Anyway, so there's a lot of things that are coming together to make it a very different story to tell now. And the communication, there's actually now a communications gap between what people think about the voluntary carbon market and how it can fund nature and where it actually is. So there is an opportunity there as well to communicate that and to show that that's different, and with 2 caveats. And I think that's really important when you are talking about that kind of communications around market. You can't communicate your way out of a crisis, and that's what a lot of people tried to do in 2023 when there was that big Guardian article. There was a massive attempt to sort of go, well, everything is okay, and this is this, and communicate without the substance being fixed. So a lot of things have been fixed now. So we can, I think, bring comms into it. And then the second caveat is that not everything has been fixed.
Right.
So,
Yes.
we've still got a lot of work to do, but it is moving in the right direction. That was a large point too. But the third one is, for me, is this portfolio approach. It was a really interesting event yesterday with a whole lot of scientists, Shift CM, another acronym. But, it's really important to get the scientists behind this work to channel funding to nature and to work on how the markets can help with that. And they were talking about this portfolio approach and what is needed in terms of the three different buckets that you can put your kind of money into. So say you had 2% of your GDP, how would you use those to create near-term change? Really underscored this idea that we can't be just focused on one solution. We have to get engineered removals. We have to really focus in and invest in those so that they can scale. We really need nature-based solutions because they're available now. Because God, who wants to live on a planet without trees?
Or greenery.
Yeah. And that's got to be invested in. And then third bucket is the industrial kind of reductions of emissions, and that is obviously critical. We can't do anything without that. And that includes things like super pollutants as well. I learned about rice methane.
Oh yes, yeah. Rice
this week. Yeah.
Cultivation is a big source of methane.
Yeah.
As livestock and
yeah. So I think those were the three main things. And I think it's interesting on this kind of nature versus tech that people kind of put in, and I think that's just really the wrong framing, and trying to get people to think about things and how they can invest in all of those different buckets and build a portfolio and make that much more robust is really good. And this is where I get a little bit nerdy.
Go for it.
But one of the really exciting developments, I think, is permanence and durability. So
yes, the difference in those two terms is quite
yeah. So nothing is permanent. Nothing.
Yeah.
So permanence is a myth, and durability is manageable in terms of risk. So we talk about risk with businesses, with investors all the time. This is just another risk. So where there's this divide between nature and tech is saying, well, we can store for 1,000 years, and nature is going, but what about the Amazon? That's been around for longer. It's none of that. It's just a spectrum, and it's not a helpful discussion. But I understand why people want it, because somebody needs to be on the hook for reversal risk, especially after the monitoring period has ended. So really exciting for those of us who are nerds in this market development that's kind of come out in the last couple of weeks and talked about a lot in London Climate Action Week, is this idea of contracted durability, where you have if you want to reach that 1,000-year threshold, or you want to reach a 100-year threshold, whatever you want to do, you can either horizontally stack the credits of the monitoring periods, which is like a sort of Tetris going that way, or you can put in sort of these permanence trusts, so making sure that you've got a fund of money that will keep somebody on the hook for reversal risk, essentially. So that is a real step forward for the market, and I think people who have been, especially the financial institutions, which we really want to get on board, and the carbon markets need to become much more like the financial markets, are really excited by this. And I've talked to a lot of carbon market veterans who are like, yes, this is an actual thing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, I completely agree in that, we just can't get there without markets and free flow capital, because there's not enough money in government, there's not enough money in philanthropy, and nor should they be the only ones propping up the conservation and protection of nature and climate change. Like market forces, financial flow needs to be in favor of these solutions. This needs to be more organic in the way that's the only way we can scale.
I feel really passionate about that. I feel like that's one of the things that really drives me. And I know that capitalism is not perfect. We have a lot of issues with it, but it's the system that we have right now, and it's the only system that we can work with over the period that we have to solve climate change and nature loss. And so we have to use the systems we have. So let's kind of get that, scale that private capital and make these, and get the money going into the systems that we already have, like forests and huge and mangrove forests, all of those kind of things that can kind of help us solve this problem in the near term.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no system that's 100% perfect, right? You know that you start with a mechanism and you try to improve it over time by including all of these different stakeholders and actors, but everyone's kind of rowing in the same direction to try to make it better. Yeah. We can't just throw the whole thing away because there's been one or two cases where it didn't work. In fact, there's an opportunity for improvement.
Yeah.
And more transparency.
Yeah.
And collaboration, right? And collaboration in the space is really important. Just the power of explaining things clearly and consistently. And what is it though? I wrote this down. It's to be clear, consistent, positive.
Yeah, that's my mantra. And it has been my whole career in communications, which, as we talked about, is quite long. It's always been like, just be as clear as you can, don't use jargon, and then be consistent, say the same thing from different people in the field, try and get everybody saying the same-ish kind of thing, obviously with differentials, but, with similar thing. And then, be positive. And I came to this space and I was like, okay, that doesn't work. Because there's 100 million pieces of jargon and like technical madness and all of the acronyms. And then there's the, doom and gloom, we're all going to hell in a handbasket, like the world is ending type thing. And then, everyone says different things, nature versus tech, reductions versus removals, all of this either or language all the time, which, for somebody coming to try and invest in the market, I mean, they'd be just like looking and going, well, you guys can't even agree amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
We're out.
We're not going to touch this until we know that this is a safe place to invest, right?
Yeah.
And this, as you say, this is not a time for no action. It's, I found it quite unfortunate a few years ago when it's those who don't do anything that don't get attacked, clearly. Unfortunately, it's not a time for inaction.
No, I know. Well, this is why I like the new, this is another thing I've been discussing this week, is the new SBTI, sorry for the acronym, Science-Based
We have modules on all of these, by the way. Check this out. Which is why I started Hub.
Subtitles on the bottom of the screen.
So I started Hub 101 in a way. It's just, just simple, accessible explainers on lots of these different things that then piece together.
Yeah.
Clear,
consistent communication.
There we go. Yes. So SBTI.
So they just released their corporate net zero standard, the second version of it, and it was long awaited and long discussed. And not everybody thinks it's great. So, I put that caveat out there. But I am excited by it because it is the first time that market mechanisms have appeared in this, this kind of leading standard. And there are others, but, they're there. Before this, carbon credits, for example, they just weren't credible even. They weren't used as a credible way to do things. Now they're in there. Yes, they're voluntary. This another acronym that they've just given us, OER, which is Ongoing Emissions Reductions Program.
Okay. OER.
More to learn and remember. But until that 2035. At 2035, leading companies, so the kind of category A companies, have to do this, and it's a compulsory thing. But up to that point, they're going to have to ramp up. And we were 8.5 years away from 2035. Like, they're going to have to buy the credits in the meantime, and not only just so that they can ramp up and get ready for it, but also so that projects are still here in 2035. Because if nobody finances them in the meantime, then there won't be anything for people then. So I think that that's really positive because it gives people an on-ramp. But then the great thing is, back to your point about this sort of leaders and laggards and laggards having nothing, and that you have to say why, if you haven't done OER, so if you it's voluntary, but if you said no, it's not for us, you have to say why. To be like, well, why aren't you doing that?
So the one sitting in the back also gets called out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good development, and I think that should be more broadly. I think governments should be doing that as well and saying, let's get the policies in place. What the voluntary carbon market and the compliance carbon market are sort of moving together, and there's a convergence. We're seeing voluntary into CORSIA, we're seeing 5% into the Singapore tax. So and some of the EU things are debating this at the moment, some of the EU structures. So So I think it's moving in the right direction, and I think the SBTI it's also within that moving in the right direction. It's not there yet, but it kind of gives a clearer path for how to use some of these market mechanisms in companies' kind of claims and the way that they do things.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. The other day I was checking out some of our own statistics on Hub. to see which modules are the most popular. And the most popular module is actually the England's Biodiversity Net Gain.
Wow.
Which actually was not what I expected. I thought people would be more interested in carbon markets, introduction to carbon markets, role of indigenous people, ocean conservation, so we have lots of different modules. And that sort of made me think there's something about a government-backed scheme that is also market-based, that allows flexibility for private sector to take part, but it is assured and structured by regulation.
Yes.
So there's something very powerful about that combination. And so perhaps we'll see more of that in the future, Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we will. I think there's enough pressure as well on governments to act and to make things, to kind of pull things into regulation a little bit more. And that's kind of why, going back to this idea of communications and policy work and the sort of technical side for Sotora that we wanted to do is that it's just, I don't think it's possible now to communicate without thinking about the implications of pulling a particular policy lever. And you want those things to really combine and talk to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there anything that you are hopeful about for the future, like walking away from Climate Action Week and into perhaps the New York Climate Week and COP later on this year? Yeah. What are you priorities and
well,
hopes?
I'm really excited about this permanence stuff.
Durability.
Yeah, the permanence and durability work is, I'm really excited about that, which I know makes me very strange, but
no, you're in a good club of people.
I'm excited about all the sort of the JRED, so the jurisdictional forest protection schemes. I'm excited about those coming into action finally, hopefully this year. I'm excited about seeing some of the EU policies and where they land up, and being positive about that. And just excited to see what everybody's doing and all of the developments that people do. You see, like, the people doing the work on the ground, and we haven't really talked about that, but you and I both visited projects and visited these incredible places where people do the work of protecting the forests or planting the trees or, doing things that are there, that are actually meaningful and that create value for a country, for the world, and for a local community. And I think, that kind of inspires me all the time. I have some clients who are in that project developing field, and they, it's fantastic to see that. And every time I get inspired whenever I go and visit, but also when I'm speaking to them and like, oh, you've done this and you've done that, or this is your... So I think, that always keeps me going, and I'm always excited for what they're going to do.
Oh, that is absolutely. There are so many different actors, coming at this. You and I reached this space via our own ways, but it's just so interesting that we all ended up in this space, tackling this problem from different sides, and working together, right? Now it's such a network of people, and that's so exciting to see in London this week. And I could absolutely talk to you all day.
Me too.
But I know you have to run off. So is there anything else you wanted to highlight that we haven't covered yet? Anything that you want to put out there to our broader audience? Last words?
Oh, gosh.
For now. I'm sure you'll be back. You're on my recall list.
I think I would say, don't be shy about communicating about what you're doing, and just find what is important to you, find the stories that tell it well, and talk to the people that you want to influence about that. So think about your audiences, think about how you're communicating people. So I think for everybody working in this space, communicate more, communicate better, talk about how the market's moved on. Let's close this communications gap between where things were in nature finance and carbon markets 2-3 years ago and where they are now. So if everybody can, run with that, I think that would be a good way to move things on and get more trust and build the demand, which we so need.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I've definitely started to communicate better since we've been chatting, I hope. Anyway, but we'll discuss afterwards. We'll do a dissection of how well I did.
You're a brilliant communicator.
But thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you.
And I hope you have a really good rest of the day today on the last day of running around London.
Yeah. Thanks, my love.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.